This basically just allows the public to tune in and watch, keeps this a public meeting for us. So anyone from the public that wanted to observe this hearing is able to do that. So that should be running now. Last thing I need to do is go through our hearing script. This basically will just cover the procedure for the hearing, and then we'll jump right into it. So this is the April 27th, 2022 session of the Zoning Hearing Examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the Zoning Hearing Examiner for the City of Cincinnati, and I'll preside over the hearing. The case before us today is case number ZH20220042. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the Zoning Hearing Examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing, unless a party has submitted testimony or evidence or submissions digitally or in writing prior to this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. So in this particular case, we'll have Mr. Druffel and Mr. Kozlovka present anything they would like me to hear in terms of background, why this is appropriate, why I should grant this particular relief. The two of you can orient that presentation however you'd like. One or both of you can talk to me about this. It's completely up to you, and I'll give you as much time as you feel you need. If there were anyone here from the public, which there's not, I would allow them an opportunity to speak after the two of you had a chance to tell me about the project. I'll allow the zoning plans examiner, Wes Menzel, to provide any additional testimony on top of his staff report. I'll then go back to our owner and applicant, allow them to respond to anything Wes has said, or to provide any other testimony that they would like, and make any final closing remarks. I'll then close the hearing. After everyone has had a chance to speak, decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony. That's generally evidence you want to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who's not present at the hearing. It's discretionary. In the event of any technical difficulties with the Zoom, we'll do our best to troubleshoot those on the fly, but to the extent there's some defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with the hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing, and that'll be at my discretion. Last thing I need to do here, guys, before we get started, is just swear in all of our witnesses. And so if you intend on providing any testimony here today, asking any questions, making any comments, doing anything other than just strictly observing, then you need to be sworn in. So if that is you, if you could take yourself off mute, I need everyone to answer out loud on the record and raise their right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Got it. Okay.
I do.
Got it. Okay. Alan, yeah, you're just, it's just a little bit delayed from the actual screen, but I think we can work with that. So who's going to be taking the lead here? Will it be Mr. Druffel or?
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. Even better. Okay. Mr. Druffel, the floor is yours.
Okay. So as you can see in the plans, we're proposing to put a outdoor fireplace on the property line, and it's for a multitude of reasons. As you can see on the north side, or the west side of the property, there is a pathway that enters from the front yard. In order to allow good egress as well as good sight lines into the backyard as you enter from the front yard, the fireplace would be best positioned as close to the property line as possible. As you can see also along that property line, there's an existing retaining wall. That retaining wall is in poor shape. The pictures are hard to tell exactly how poor because the ivy covering them, but there is along this line where the shrubs were removed, on the west property line, the wall is in poor shape. There's a 4 to 5 inch bulge in the center of the wall, which obviously is not a good thing for the structural integrity of the wall. There's also an objectionable sight line out of the homeowner's back terrace towards the west property line, where they look at the rear of the neighbor's garage. In addition, from a flow standpoint, when you enter from that west property line along the from the front to the back. If we put the fireplace 3 foot off the property line, it would then cause the person entering the space to walk into the side of a fireplace. So if the fireplace was going to serve dual function as far as retaining wall and creating a buffer from the neighbor's property, that fireplace would need to go along the property line. That's the only spot for it. So that's why we were asking for zoning relief.
Okay, Mr. Truffle, I threw my screen up here and tried to share some of the staff reports. So I assume this is the wall that you're referring to with the bulge.
Correct.
And,
Correct.
Okay. And the sort of the view of is this the rear of their home?
Correct. Yeah, this is the rear of Alan's home. That is the rear of the neighbor's home that you were looking at in that most recent picture. Through those shrubs, they look at the parked cars and garage. So that west property line there, yep, right where your cursor is, that's where the wall is. And it, it's not ideal for them, sitting on their terrace looking at the side of the garage and neighboring home. And the neighbor to the west is supportive of the project as well. So.
Gotcha. Okay. And how well is the rest of the terrace built out already? Is that?
It's built currently. It's in its current state. It is going to get renovated. Basically, we're going to pull up the terrace, pour a new slab, and then veneer bluestone back. But it's going to be just slightly larger footprint.
Gotcha. Okay. And how big is this fireplace going to be? How tall?
So the fireplace is it's on the elevation. I couldn't remember if it was 12 or 14. It is 14 foot 6 inches tall to the top of the chimney pot.
Gotcha.
It's about 11.6 or 12 foot to the top of the chimney.
Gotcha. Okay.
And as you can see, there's a difference in elevation between the neighbor's home and the Kozlovka's home, which will, from their perspective, make that fireplace seem even shorter.
Okay. All right, I think that's all the questions I have right now. Alan, did you want to add anything to that testimony at all?
The only thing I would say is I've approached all three neighbors and they've agreed that it isn't a problem, and that should be probably part of the package that Brandon submitted. So I think everybody's aligned in terms of what we're planning on doing. And it does, as Brandon indicated, there's a row of shrubs that also will shield it from my neighbor immediately to the west. So they probably won't even hardly see what we're doing. We won't even hardly see what we're doing.
Got it. Okay. And Alan, when you say three neighbors, I assume you mean to the west, to the east, and is it to the south? Or
yeah, all three of the property, the neighbors that have properties that adjoin ours have signed the setback agreement, and that is to the west and the east and the south. So I approached all three of them and laid out the plan for them so they could understand what we were doing, and they have all agreed to it and signed accordingly.
okay, great. Wes, any testimony you'd like to provide?
Good morning. I just might highlight a couple things in my report. That the house is a T shape, and so the sides of the house that are behind the main wing have the feel of being a rear yard, but I mean, they're technically the side yard, so that's why they need the variance. But that the design, is compatible with that rear yard feel. Also, the driveway and garage are on the east side of the house, which limits the location of any outdoor living space. Like, they would be a lot harder pressed to put something over on that side. So that's why they're looking at the west side. Retaining walls are allowed to go on up to the property line. So they're basically building a retaining wall that has some additional functions to it, such as the fireplace and grill and such, kind of integrated into the design. And so I concluded that it was a reasonable request based on all those factors. Thanks.
Okay. Let's see. So this will be right on the property line at a 0 setback, right?
Correct.
Okay. And how far does that west portion of the house, how close does that get to the property line?
I would guess, I can tell you exactly, but it's that walkway is about 36 inches wide. So the stone portion of that walkway, there's a 10-inch planter and then the stone wall. So those are the approximate dimensions from the closest corner of the home.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I have. Anything, Mr. Druffel or Mr. Kozlovka, in closing or otherwise here?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. All right. So I've had a chance to review the application materials, the staff report. Based on that, based on the testimony I've heard today, I'm going to approve the application. I need to formalize that approval in a written decision, which does typically take about 2 weeks. As soon as I finish that, I put it into a PDF and I email it to everybody who's in the hearing here today. So you all will have it really just moments after it's complete. As soon as you have that, you can move forward with Wes on the permitting. Any questions for me right now on any of that or anything with this process?
No.
All right. Well, if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself. You can also email Wes with questions. If you'd like a status update on the decision, you can email me directly and I'll let you know where I'm at. But yeah, that's it. I want to thank you all for your time and your testimony here today. Good luck with the project, and we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.